The 7S framework is a very interesting concept which was elaborated by the consulting company McKinsey and Company, the US consulting company. What it says is that in the case of a successful organization, strategy is linked to skills, structure, systems, staff, style, and superordinate goals, shared values. And these are in turn linked to one another. So in the case of a successful organization, each one of these 7 S's are linked to each other. Any change in strategy will require a change in structure, for instance, a change in systems. Similarly, any change in systems will require a change in staff or a change in structure. And all these S's are held together by one of the S's, which is the superordinate goals, the shared values of the organization. This is a characteristic of a successful organization, and an internal analyst must ensure that when he evaluates an organization, he must ensure that the organization conforms to the 7S framework. Another aspect of the organization's functioning which plays a role in internal analysis is the marketing audit, which is an evaluation of the marketing function of the organization. Here, the internal analyst looks at whether the organization is targeting high growth segments, whether it's targeting high profitability segments, what are the market shares in these segments, whether the company has created the right perception in the consumers of these segments, whether there are issues in the distribution channels when it comes to these segments, and whether these segments are price sensitive. It's important to identify the high growth segments and the high profitability segments, because these are the segments which will have a direct impact on the financial performance of the company. And once these segments are identified, the internal analyst must answer the subsequent 4 questions which relate to these segments, because these questions will help the internal analyst to evaluate how well marketing as a function is being carried on in the company. In the same way in which the marketing function has been audited, the internal analyst needs to evaluate the customer profile of that particular company. This is called the customer audit. Now, the customer audit has a different flavor from the marketing audit. Marketing audit is concerned more with segments, is concerned more with large numbers of individual customers. On the other hand, the customer audit is concerned with specific individual customers. What happens is that very often a company is marketing to a limited number of important customers. It may well have a large customer base, but amongst them a very high proportion of the product is targeted towards a limited number of customers, and it is that limited key number of customers that we are evaluating in the customer audit. We need to look at a couple of things. The internal analyst needs to look at a couple of things when he does a consumer audit. First, he needs to see how successful the customers are in their own business. This is important because only if customers are important, and only if customers are successful in their own business, can they provide continued support to the company. Secondly, is it profitable serving that particular customer? Very often a company finds that there are customers who are difficult to serve because they are either inaccessible, or they are very demanding, or they require products which in turn create huge costs for the company. In this case, serving that particular customer is not profitable for the company, even though the customer himself may be a high volume customer. So it is important to ensure that all customers are profitable. The next question is what happens if you lose the customer? It's important for the internal analyst to find that the company has a sufficient distributed base of customers to ensure that the loss of one particular customer or the loss of one group of customers does not create a major impact on the company. Another important fact is whether the customers of the company can help the company to attract other customers. Very often, in the case of a book company like the Oxford Press, the Oxford Press, if they find that a customer is in a position to promote the interests of the company with other customers who in turn would have their books published by the Oxford Press, then the Oxford Press offers very attractive rates to the customers who are able to bring in others. And finally, we need to look at whether the customer's market is growing, right? This is the flip side of the coin. The first, we looked at whether customers are successful in their business, and here we are looking at whether the market of the customers is growing. Okay, so evaluation of customers, evaluation of individual customers is an important part of internal evaluation. During the course of internal evaluation, we have understood what are the strengths and weaknesses of the company. This will be of great use to us in framing business strategy.